Hello everybody! Today we're going to be making my favorite crusty European white bread. This recipe is absolutely perfect for sandwiches, bread bowls, or just to eat it by itself. Between me and my fiance, this loaf is usually gone within a day. So I really do recommend all of you try this. This recipe only requires 4 ingredients and it only takes a few hours to make. So let's get baking. So starting off, you're gonna get your bread flour, active dry yeast, I really like Fleischmann's brand, salt, and preferably purified water, but it's okay, you can use whatever you have. Then you're gonna measure out 500 grams of your bread flour, 385 milliliters of water. This one doesn't have to be necessarily exact. You're also gonna need 10 grams of salt, and 8 grams of yeast. Next, you're going to add your yeast into your water and go ahead and mix that around until it's nice and incorporated. You want to make sure that you can't see any yeast floating up top, but also don't overmix it. And then you're going to add your salt into your flour and just make sure that that's evenly incorporated. If the salt touches too much of just the yeast by itself, it will kill it. After that, you're gonna go ahead and dump that flour into your water. It doesn't matter if you do it fast or slow, it's all going in the same place, and just mix that around. Specifically this recipe, we will not need to let our yeast bloom, as we do enough rises to where that genuinely does not matter. But just go ahead and mix that around with your spatula. As you need it, you're going to need to pick up all that dry flour at the bottom of the bowl. The reason I like to do my water first in the bowl is for that reason, so there's not a ton of flour to pick up. As you can see, it's a pretty sticky dough for now, and that is exactly what you want. Later in the process, we'll make it a more taut ball, but for now it's just going to be kind of a goopy mess. Get that all off your fingers, no dough left behind, and then you're going to want to rest it for 30 minutes. Once your timer has gone off, you're going to take that from wherever it is resting and fill a bowl with water. For this next part, you're going to need to wet your hand because the dough is very sticky. What you're going to be doing is taking part of the dough, stretching it, and folding it into itself. You have to do this part just so that it becomes more of a ball shape because, as I said earlier, it is still a very sticky dough, and sticky dough is not fun to work with. For this next part, you're going to be using the slap and fold method. You kind of just work your way in a circle with the dough and slap it and fold it over itself. It's kind of self-explanatory, but this really works to get a really nice taut ball. As you can see in this next clip, it is so much smoother than it was about like 2 minutes ago. So just keep doing this until you get your desired smoothness. I really like mine pretty tight and smooth like that. But after that, you're gonna go ahead and cup it into itself and then rest it in the fridge for another 30 minutes. The reason we're doing it in the fridge this time is to not let the yeast rise as much and also develop a little more of a flavor from the yeast. You're going to go ahead and repeat that same process, wet your hand, stretch the dough, and fold it into itself. This might look like you're ruining all the progress you made with the last slap and fold, but I assure you, you're just developing the gluten and the flavors even more by doing this. Instead of kneading, I feel like the slap and fold method is a lot easier because kneading is kind of a hard technique to learn, but the slap and fold method, once or twice, you really do get the hang of it. See, and the dough is already looking beautiful again. Just make sure when you're doing this that you don't do it too much because you don't want to kill those bubbles and all that yeast's hard work. Make sure you cup it again, and then we're gonna rest it this time in the fridge for an hour and 30 minutes. After it's done resting, you're gonna take off your lid and admire how beautiful your dough is so far. And after that, you're gonna take some more bread flour and just slightly sprinkle it over the top, making sure that the whole thing is covered. This is just so that it doesn't stick to our work surface. But after that, I like to go in with a spatula and just keep it from sticking to the edges of the bowl so it won't stretch when it falls out. Go ahead and plop that down onto your work surface. And as you can see, I have a little extra flour just so it won't stick. And I also like to sprinkle a little more flour on top so it won't stick to my hands either. Now after that, you're gonna go ahead and shape it into like a rectangle because we are about to roll this. And it doesn't have to be perfect by any means. We can fix it in a little bit. Next, we're gonna go ahead and roll this out. As you can see, I roll it pretty tightly. This is just so that when it bakes in the oven, it keeps its bread shape. You don't want it to become like a flat mess in the oven. And after you do it the first time, go ahead and turn it over and just flip it and do it the other way. This is gonna make a nice little dough log. And it's gonna be much easier to handle than whatever we had before. As you can see here, I can actually toss this one around and it keeps its shape. I'm gonna make this ball a little more taut and then cinch up the edges just so it has a nice, more even bread shape. Other side. Perfect. And at this point, you're just gonna go ahead and shape it to whatever you want your loaf to look like. Now you're gonna go ahead and get a towel or a paper towel, it doesn't matter really, and just rest that on your counter for 15 minutes. The reason we're resting it is to let the gluten kind of sit and rest and make it a little easier to shape it into a loaf that you want. For loaf shaping, you could either do like a kind of a log or you could do a round loaf. It's really up to you at this point. And you can even, if you wanted to, do 2 loaves. But after that, you're gonna go ahead and put your dough on your parchment paper. This is gonna be the thing you're baking it on. And then go ahead and put that onto a cookie sheet. Look how beautiful it is turning out. All those bubbles, oh. Now you're gonna rest that for 40 minutes in the fridge. Once it's done, just go ahead and place that on your counter. And while that is resting, you're gonna preheat your oven to 425 with a Dutch oven inside. What I like to do is put my parchment paper with my dough into the Dutch oven, make it all nice, like so. Make sure you don't burn yourself either. But then I like to go ahead and put that in the oven, take off the lid, and kind of just spray it around with water. The reason that I spray it with water right here is so that it develops more of a crusty crust. It's gonna have more of a bite than a chewiness on the outside. And you can either do this or not, but I prefer it. So go ahead and put that lid back on. And you're gonna be baking this for about 40 minutes. But halfway through, you gotta take off the lid to let the steam release. And just keep baking. And after that, it should come out beautiful. As you can see, my bread is done and it has a beautiful brown crust on it. And it developed its own ear. To prevent burning your hands like me, you want to let this rest for at least 30 to 40 minutes, and then you'll have a wonderful, soft, chewy, and delicious bread. Look at that spring right back to its original state. Oh my god, I love this bread so much, and I really think you guys will too. If you enjoyed this video, please subscribe and leave a thumbs up, and share this with anyone that you want to make bread with. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to have more videos like this in the very near future, and Have a good day, everybody. Goodbye.